Amy Williams does the production design on Netflix's Master of None, I'm at Noble, a Gold Derby. And I wanted to ask you, Amy, what was the biggest challenge with season 3 Moments in Love?
The biggest challenge was COVID,
Yeah.
100%. We started production in February 2020, and a month later we were shut down, and um, we all flew back to the States because we were filming in London. And so there was about a 6-month period where we didn't know when the show would come back, if it would come back, if we could just still do it in London, where we needed to shoot. And eventually the network gave us the go ahead to go back to London in August. And we finished the season with only 2 shutdowns.
There you go.
During the duration. Yeah.
That's great. What was the most important thing for you to get right in creating the feel for this season?
The most important thing was to really represent this couple in a truthful, honest way, to make sure their characters were authentic, to make sure the elements in their home, sort of spoke to their culture, their gender, their race. I just really wanted to be truthful and honest to that. And, I think the way we were able to accomplish that was, really by, doing our research, talking to Lena quite a bit, not about what she likes, but what her character likes. The actors were very involved in, the selection of certain pieces like the sofa and artwork, and other elements. And I think that just made the whole experience richer, and a bit more beautiful too.
Yeah. What for you was either the most important or the most special thing in that house of all the items?
Gosh, there's so many like really lovely moments. I love all the imperfections in the house. I really we made these like really nonsensical, weird corner windows. They're kind of dormer windows, but they slant. And I just think they're so beautiful and imperfect, and it's kind of, just represents the season, and the show and the characters really well. And it was fun to build too.
Yeah. Now this season of the show, a lot of wide shots and a lot of shots that go on for quite a while too, which from a production design element, I would imagine means that we're seeing more of the set for more of the time. So it gives us time to notice details and pick things up. Did that affect the way you were approaching the build and the set, knowing that we'd be seeing maybe more of it in one go and seeing it for longer?
Definitely. When after Aziz and Lena wrote the script, they sent it to me. It was clear that we were going to be kind of in this single location for the run of the season, and that puts a lot of pressure on keeping the audience engaged and giving the characters good movement positions to walk around the house, appropriate seating areas, just to kind of, bring the story to life. And we knew we were going to shoot it static. We knew we were going to shoot with Super 16. So just knowing that we had that like richness of the grain really informed the colors we picked, the materials we picked, even, the lamps and the lighting. But believe it or not, as many like beautiful wide shots as there were, I was always next to Aziz and Themios, our DP, saying like, go for a wider lens, get a wider lens. And it became like a running joke. Aziz would say like, oh, Amy, are we seeing enough ceiling for you today? Because those beams are so beautiful. And I was like, okay, fine. You guys, but it's a production designer's dream to be able to get those kind of wides and get the love for the set that they did.
Yeah. Well, it almost like some of the shots are like paintings. You're looking at the way it's composed and things. What was maybe the trickiest thing to decide on as you were putting things together, or something that you were unsure of?
There were some. I was hesitant about making low ceilings. We were kind of in the time of COVID. I think, for safety reasons, they would have wanted no ceilings at all. And I really felt like we needed these women to be like both cozy and trapped at the same time. And, a lot of, you work with a lot of people in the business that, with sound and with lighting, they need the height in a set. And everyone was all for making low ceilings, which was really great. It was really tricky to convince the set builders and the set designers and all of the artisans I work with to make things imperfect. The Tyler would say, like, wait, you want the tiles crooked? That doesn't make any sense. Or you want, the ugly piece of wood. And we just wanted to make it feel as real as possible. I think the other thing too was we were in London, and things don't look the same. There's different outlets and electrical and switches, and finding a washer and dryer was impossible. It was really hard, but we've had fun.
That's good. That is, like, I think talking about the imperfections really interesting, because like very rarely you walk into a house when everything is perfect. Like, very rarely you see things when they are brand new. And I guess sort of like, to make it authentic, you need things to look lived in, things to look like they were done by real people, not done by a professional production designing crew. What do you think, what was one of those imperfections?
We in working with the set decorator Kimberly McGeeth, we both agreed that we should make some bad choices, because you don't always make the right choices when you're designing a house. Or even, these women bought this 200-year your home, so there's certain elements that came with it before they were there. So we picked this kind of ugly blue carpet to go up the stairs and in their bedroom. So that was kind of intentional. And we treated the wallpaper like it was something up in the home before they got there, but they embraced it, like, oh, look at this funky 40s bathroom. So I think that that's kind of one of the tricks you use, is you kind of make a few bad choices and then it feels real.
Something I want to talk to you about, and I'll try not to give too much sort of away of the story here, but the house we see in the final episode of the series is very different to the house we see in the first episode of by series I mean season. The first episode of the season. What was it like, sort of doing those two sort of incarnations of the same space?
Technically, it was really tricky. We had 2 days to kind of flip everything over. And I needed to add a few things to make it look like the house had new ownership, an entirely different family. And so, again, that was another thing, I sort of based the design off of, some like distant relatives in the Midwest, or, just sort of the leftover furniture that people use to decorate their Airbnbs. And we had a lot of fun with it. There was, like little puppy dog paintings and, really, really funny bad choices. And I think there's a line that Denise says where, like, she walks in and she's like, oh my God, they colonized it.
Yeah.
And I think that, like really, is the perfect way to describe this decor that they walk into.
Yeah. Where do you get the teddy bears?
Everywhere. I think we bought out all the teddies in London. I think we ended up getting about like 500 teddies. and they were all like all over the place. That was super fun. Aziz wrote that early on because he had stayed at an Airbnb with like a creepy doll room. So we knew that was coming, and that was sort of our like, final chef's kiss.
Yeah. And like, I imagine that you did those sort of scenes with the end of the shoot, right? Like,
Yeah, the teddy bear room was the last day of our
there you go.
shooting in that house. And then we moved on to our next stage build,
Mm.
which was the apartment. So it was tough while we were filming in the apartment. They were taking apart the house, and it just, slowly disappeared. It was painful.
Yeah. Like, what was it like for you if sort of you worked on season 1 and 2 of Master of None? What was it like? Because it does sort of change gears in a number of ways. Well, you're filming in a whole different country for one, but even sort of the way it's shot has sort of evolved. What, like, I feel like coming in fresh on a show, you sort of just pick up with whatever, but having done it a different way on the same show, was it sort of a recalibration for you?
It was, but it was something kind of I had been longing for.
Mm.
I think all of us had. We started, working on the first season 6.5 years ago,
Well,
and we were all new to one another. We were doing a show that at the time we thought was fairly risky, and I think that that thread kind of even goes to this season. We took a risk on pulling back and focusing just in on a character that wasn't Dev, that wasn't, Aziz Ansari, barely in the show. So I think, the sort of pushing our limits and exploring new areas is always there. But I was so excited about shooting on film and getting the chance to go to London and, you know, getting a chance to design a different aesthetic for a different character. Because we had done a great job, I think, in the first 2 seasons, and it was time to, do something else.
Yeah. As a production designer, is there a particular film or TV show that growing up sort of you saw the sets or you saw the sort of production design, you thought, boy, like, it'd be cool to do that one day?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I actually was thinking about that the other day, and I think Golden Girls had a really great set. They had it was all in one location, and I look back on it, and sometimes I reference it once in a while when I'm doing sets. Other ones are like Goonies is a big one for my youth, where you sort of make this fantasy world in the pirate ship and all of that. But with this one, we had loads of references and Easter eggs that were sort of we attributed to some of the legends in filmmaking and some of our heroes this season.
It's really cool. What's probably, do you have a favorite scene from Master of None from either of the 3 seasons?
I do like. There's a few. The IVF episode has some really charming moments with the nurse and Alicia. I do like, admittedly, the scene where they have dinner with Dev. It gets really nasty and really dark really fast. And to me, that was, it was kind of exciting being there on set and watching, these 2 people that I've worked with for so long, really expand their ability in acting. And, I was just so in awe and impressed with them in that scene.
Yeah, it's definitely a season where people try new things, Aziz with directing, Lena as lead. What's something that you grew in through doing this season?
That's a tough one. I think one thing because of COVID, we were very limited to the amount of people that could come over from the States from the original 2 seasons. And that was really difficult. It was difficult not to have, Eric Wareheim there. Alan Yang couldn't be there most of the time. He's our showrunner. So that part was really difficult. And I think because of that, I took on some new responsibilities beyond production design. And, it was exciting for me to, kind of work so closely on that level. And, early on, Aziz and Alan included me as a co-producer this season. So, that came with some different responsibilities and some different, views and interactions with the post and the planning of everything. So that was cool.
Yeah. Seemed quite like, talked about a couple of other people from the show. It seems like it was quite a collaborative season, this one. A lot of people chipping in and giving input.
Yeah, I mean, it really is super rare, I think, even though all of our, Master of None family couldn't be there physically, we remained very tight. Even, the music supervisor and I would talk about, wallpaper patterns together. He would send me, playlists so I could play them in the office for my crew to get sort of everybody in the vibe of things. And I think that kind of collaboration and having access to the actors who are like, text me anytime if you have a question, hey, you should check out this artist, we should include them in the show. To have that kind of accessibility and closeness with your collaborators is so rare, and it was so beautiful.
The season's called Moments in Love. What do you think it says about love, the season?
This season, I think about love is that, it lasts forever. It evolves. It never leaves you. And it's, the moments that you look back on that sort of give you those warm, fuzzy feelings. And I think it's just, about being present and being in the moment and, experiencing all of the good and the bad.
Well, Amy, thank you so much for talking with us today. You can, if you're watching this interview, go to goldderby.com to make your own awards predictions and get stuck into some feisty discussions in our forums. Amy, all the best of luck with the upcoming Emmy Awards for Master of None.
Great to meet you, Matt.